Hello and welcome to Lantern Lane Stories. Tonight's story is Wojtek's Last Winter in Edinburgh. In the spring of 1942, the wind blew hot across the mountains of Iran. Polish soldiers were walking toward a new life, away from cold prison camps in Russia. A small Iranian boy stood by the roadside, holding something wrapped in cloth. When the soldiers stopped, the boy opened the cloth slowly. Inside was a tiny bear cub, no bigger than a puppy, with matted brown fur. His mother was shot by hunters. The boy said quietly. The soldiers felt the weight of sadness in their own chests. One young woman named Irina stepped forward. She was only 18 years old. Her eyes filled with tears as she looked at the orphan cub. "We have to save him," she whispered. A lieutenant named Anatol reached into his pocket and pulled out a few coins. He placed them in the boy's hand. The coins were warm from the sun. "What is his name?" Irina asked softly. "We will call him Wojtek," the soldiers decided. In Polish, it means joyful warrior, and that night, under a tent made of canvas, Wojtek drank warm milk from a bottle. Irina sat beside him, singing songs from a home she might never see again. 3 months passed in the refugee camp near Tehran. Wojtek grew bigger every week. His fur became thick and glossy. The soldiers began to teach him things, not like a wild bear, but like a friend. "Stand up, Wojtek," they would say, holding his paws. Slowly, carefully, the young bear learned to walk on his hind legs. He would wobble and tumble, and the soldiers would laugh, not cruel laughter, but the sound of hope. One soldier taught him to salute, placing Wojtek's paw against his own forehead. Another soldier shared his bread ration with the cub. In August, when the camp closed, the soldiers made a decision. "Wojtek belongs with us," they said. "He is one of the 22nd Company now." They gave him a rank, Private Wojtek. He received his own uniform, a small belt that sat around his growing middle. The soldiers carved his name into a wooden tag and hung it from his neck. That night, Wojtek slept between two soldiers, warm and safe. For the first time since his mother died, he was not alone. In 1944, the war grew louder and more terrible. The 22nd Company arrived in Italy, where mountains shook with cannon fire. Wojtek was now 200 pounds of muscle and fur at Monte Cassino. The battle raged for weeks without stopping. Shells whistled through the air, smoke covered everything like fog. The soldiers needed ammunition, heavy boxes of ammunition carried from truck to fighting line. A soldier named Peter looked at Wojtek and had an idea. "Can you help us carry these boxes, friend?" he asked gently. Wojtek understood. He always understood what his soldiers needed. The bear stood on his hind legs and wrapped his arms around a heavy ammunition crate. Step by step, he carried it forward, his breath coming hard. The other soldiers watched in amazement. "Look," they whispered, "Wojtek is fighting with us." Day after day, through smoke and noise, Wojtek carried crate after crate. His paws left prints in the ash. His eyes stayed steady and kind. The generals came to watch. They saluted Wojtek. "This bear is braver than many soldiers I have known." One general said Wojtek was promoted. He became Corporal Wojtek, the only bear in the Polish army. His image was painted on the company shield, a bear carrying a shell. When the battle finally ended, the soldiers gathered around him and wept. Tears of sorrow, tears of relief. Wojtek had saved lives, and he had not fired a single shot. The war ended in 1945, but for Wojtek and his soldiers, there was no going home. Poland was changing. Russia held it now. The soldiers could not return. They traveled to Scotland instead, carrying Wojtek with them. In 1947, the Polish army was officially dissolved. Wojtek was no longer a soldier. He needed a new home. The soldiers brought him to Edinburgh Zoo on a gray Scottish afternoon. Rain fell softly. The air smelled of salt from the sea and old stone from the castle above. "Take care of him," the soldiers told the zookeepers. "He is our brother." Wojtek's pen was large and green, with rocks and water and space to roam, but every time he heard Polish voices, his ears would perk up. Every time a soldier visited from Norway or Poland, Wojtek would stand tall. Children came to the zoo and pressed their faces against the glass. "That bear fought in a war," their parents whispered. "He carried ammunition. He saves soldiers' lives." Wojtek lived in Edinburgh for 16 years. He never forgot the soldiers who had saved him in Iran, and they never forgot him either. In 1963, Wojtek grew old. His fur turned gray at the edges. His steps became slower. The zookeepers brought him extra fish and honey. On cold December mornings, they wrapped his favorite blanket around his shoulders. Wojtek would sit by the window of his shelter and watch the snow fall on Edinburgh Castle. The castle was the same great white as this guy. Sometimes he would remember the mountains of Iran, hot and bright. Sometimes he would remember the thunder of guns at Monte Cassino. But mostly he remembered the hands of soldiers, gentle and warm. On December 2nd, 1963, Wojtek closed his eyes for the last time. He was 21 years old. The zookeepers wept. The city of Edinburgh wept. Newspapers printed his picture, a bear with kind eyes and a soldier's heart. Years later, a bronze statue was placed in Edinburgh's Princess Street Garden. It shows Wojtek standing on his hind legs, strong and proud. The plaque reads, "In memory of Wojtek, Corporal in the Polish Army 1942 to 1963. Every child who visits Edinburgh can see that statue. And when they do, they learn the true story of a bear who was loved like a soldier, a bear who carried not just ammunition, but hope." And so Edinburgh also slowly fell asleep. Good night.